Random things about me you probably didn't know. I was in college. I thought I was going to marry my college sweetheart. I thought I'd be engaged by the time I was a junior, maybe get one of those little ring ceremonies in my sorority, and thought I would have children by the time I was like 24. So glad that that did not all happen. And I'm in my 30s, and yes, I do want to get married. A lot of people always ask me that. 100% do. Am open to the idea of having a family, but that's definitely something that I just don't feel rushed to do. I was growing up, we moved all the time. My dad was a football coach. We moved every 3 to 4 years. So when I moved away for college, that was actually my 10th move. I loved it. The only regret I have is that I didn't have like a childhood best friend who knew me through all aspects or all time periods of life. But I always told my parents, like, just tell me where my bed is. Like, I'll be happy. Just tell me where my bed is. I loved it. I've done it in my adult life now. You know, I went away to school in Nashville. Then I lived in Memphis. Then I lived in Oregon, then Kansas City, now New York City. I love uprooting and moving around. It's really fun and exciting to me. Like I said, we'll talk more about this later, but because my dad was a coach, like we moved from small town to big town. I really loved getting that opportunity to see all aspects of life and not just be from one place my entire life, and also get to meet a lot of different people who were not raised like me, people who are different than me. I'm really grateful to my parents for kind of exposing us to that. We also grew up very lower middle class. My dad was a high school teacher and, coaching high school football. My mother also was in the high school education system as well. By no means was my family like rolling in the dough. All of my siblings and I have worked since we were each the age of 15. We have all been on our own financially and paid our own bills, paid for our own college. However, I do want to acknowledge I had the privilege of having two parents who are still married, a very stable home, no abuse in the home, always never had to worry about where my next meal was coming from. No, we couldn't afford appetizers, or we weren't allowed to get appetizers or, get a soda at the restaurant out. We couldn't go on fancy family vacations, but my parents made a point to drive us all around the country and go camping. Because that was something that they could afford, that was in their budget. So I had a very privileged childhood, although we did not grow up rich by any means. I am so fortunate to have the parents that I did, to have the siblings that I did, and again, to have the stability that I did. I was in a sorority. I was in Phi Mu. I went to a small liberal arts school called Belmont University. It's in Nashville. I paid for my own school, put myself through school, graduated with some hefty debt to pay off, but used financial aid as well as scholarships to get to college. I know a lot of people talk crap on sororities, but it was quite literally one of the best decisions I ever made. It gave me community. It is still a way that I get in contact with people in today's world. I just moved to New York. There's a couple of sorority sisters of mine who live here who I'm going to connect with. Again, people speak bad about it. It was a small school. We didn't have to pay that many dues, and we didn't have houses on campus. So for me, it was a really positive experience that I loved. Like I said, I paid for my own school, and I had a work study, and I worked 2 jobs while I was in college. I also had scholarship, and again, like I said, I had financial aid that I applied for and was able to get. I also competed in the Miss America organization. Some people know that, some people didn't. I was Miss Tennessee in 2014. I had never done a pageant before in my entire life. I was raised by a football coach in a very athletic home. I found out how much scholarship money that you could get from it, and so a sorority sister of mine introduced me to it, and I was like, oh heck yeah, I can do this. Let me approach it like X's and O's, figure it out. That's what actually helped me return to Belmont for my senior year and finish my degree, because I was going to be putting myself in a huge amount of debt if I didn't find a way to be able to pay for more, because I originally entered school as a voice major, classical voice major, and then I switched my majors. I graduated with business administration. However, when I switched my major, I lost a lot of that scholarship money. People also talk a lot of crap on beauty pageants. There are people who personify or live up to the stereotypes in all aspects of life, and yes, there were people like that, but for me, again, it was a really positive experience. It is the reason that I am in the field that I am today. Sorry, I'm trying to do this while unboxing some makeup I just got at Sephora. But yeah, it was for me a really, really positive experience. It taught me how to do my makeup, present myself, be able to speak on camera. It really is what started my career in sports broadcasting, because I learned I could be presentable, speak on camera, and had kind of a knack for it. And then, like I said, I was raised in a football family, so I already had the knowledge of sports, and I kind of just complemented the two, paired them together, and hit the ground running when I returned to school for my my senior year. When you were Miss Tennessee, though, I had a full-time job, so I actually had to leave school for a year and then go back. So as my full-time job, I worked for the governor as a spokesperson for character education. I would literally go to a school in Tennessee every single day. I traveled over I think it was 80,000 miles. I would go across the state. I went into every single county and talked to children and got to mentor. I also worked with the local hospitals there and Children's Miracle Network, and got to, go into hospitals and just show some compassion and love for little kiddos. Because, you go in with a crown, and even though you think as an adult it might be silly for kids, you're, the one ray of sunshine in a very gloomy time of their life. The Kosas under eye concealer. And then I got some Rare Beauty highlight. Oh, that's kind of crazy. You guys see everything going on here. Okay. Miss America was really positive for me. Like I said, it was one of the best experiences I did. I competed in the pageant system for all of a year and a half, and I got the scholarship money, and then I returned back to school after serving as Miss Tennessee. It was a really eye-opening experience. And yeah, that's about that. Also, if you ever notice, a lot of people notice me shaking in videos sometimes when I'm doing things. I tremor. I don't know why. I've had it checked out by a doctor. It's something that my dad does as well. So if you ever see me in videos tremoring, I'm fine. You guys hear me talk about my family all the time. My family is very important to me. My dad is my favorite person in the entire world. Like I said, he was a football coach. He retired and then he got back into coaching. So right now he's the head coach at Shawnee Mission West, which is a school in Kansas. He's been coaching for my entire life for 35 plus years. I was raised on the sidelines. I was constantly, my favorite days were Friday nights because my mom would let us eat something from the concession stand, and we got to go watch my dad run around the sidelines. So that was quite literally how I grew up. And my favorite memory was my 7th birthday when my dad took me to camp, and I actually got to go and blow the whistle during up-down drills and everything. And I thought that was so special. My brother also played and is still obviously very interested in football, so it's something that is a topic in my family a lot. And it was also something that my brother and dad did for me when I had questions. I never played football, so when I had questions about how things worked or film breakdown, different things like that, my dad and brother have always been really, really receptive, never made me feel stupid, and always answered my questions. And that's how I really got a lot of my sports knowledge. So got into sports broadcasting because of how I was raised, growing up that way, and then also because of the Miss America organization. Now, how I was raised also got me into fitness. So I am a huge fitness person. I have had my personal training license for the past 6 years. If you had me as a coach at Orange Theory, cool. I love a lot of you guys from that gym community. Gym is a really big part of my life because I grew up in the gym. There was no babysitting. My dad would just take us to the weight room, and I got to just chill in the weight room while he was coaching his players. So I learned how to weightlift at a very young age. I remember my dad would take us out to the track. I grew up playing any and every sport I could as a kid. In high school, I really loved track and field. My dad would take us every weekend out, and that was one of my favorite things to do on the weekends was get a workout in with my dad on the track. And so that has stayed very, very much so alive as a habit in my adult life. And then I got my personal training license, and I have continued to do that on the side. So yes, I love athletics. Yes, I love fitness. But I also love seeing the side that athletes go through, and that huge aspect of it. So kind of knowing the knowledge of the fitness side of things has really also helped me in sports broadcasting as well. Also, it's a really good way to make money on the side. I've continued to do so, especially right when I was freelancing, working as a personal trainer, working in group fitness as well was a great way to make money while I didn't have a stable full-time job. Might be something that I do here in New York. I'm not quite sure. I'm really right now looking for a gym, trying to figure things out. But I love weightlifting. I also recently started Pilates. I have really liked Pilates as well. Anything that gets my body moving, I love. So sports, fitness, health and wellness, that kind of stuff too. And then of course, because of Miss America and all that stuff, I love beauty, I love fashion, I love makeup, all that jazz kind of wrapped up is what the main themes of my life are right now. Okay, I need to wrap this up because it's just getting rambly and long, but my favorite job as a kid was I was lifeguard, and I thought it was really, really, really cool. I also worked at Hollister. That was when I was in college, I babysat a lot, but I also worked in the athletic department, and then I tried to find any work study that I could on top of that to pay for school and pay for bills. But I do want to say when I started college, I was a voice major, so a lot of people are always like, what was your talent at Miss America? It was singing, so that was kind of one thing that I could easily do, which was great. And then of course, my background in fitness made the bikini portion fun because I loved working out, and I kind of took it as a challenge to find myself in my peak fitness. Anyways, so yes, I can sing, but do not ask me to. I was in choir when I was in high school. I also did, the solo competitions and all the choir competitions and ensemble competitions that we would do for state. I loved it. I was in musicals. I was Glinda in The Wizard of Oz in high school. I truly enjoyed that, chapter of my life and just the kind of community. Like I had sports, but I also had the fine arts, and that was a really big part of my upbringing. Also, I have an older sister and a younger brother, so I'm the middle child, kind of sandwiched right in between. But anyways, that's a ton of facts about me. Thanks for staying for 10 minutes long to listen to all of it. Hope you guys have a good long weekend and enjoy, hopefully, some good weather. But see you guys later.